Hi, I'm Dabby, but you can call me Dabz. So today I am reviewing Turtles All the Way Down by John Green. So Turtles All the Way Down, and John Green as an author in general, is pretty popular, I think, in BookTube. This is the first John Green book I've read, which maybe I'm just a bad booktuber or something. I don't know, but I have not read The Fault in Our Stars. I haven't read Looking for Alaska or Paper Towns. But after reading this book, I actually do want to read more of his books. But yeah, today's review is on Turtles All the Way Down. So this book follows Asa Holmes, a 16-year-old girl who struggles with obsessive-compulsive disorder. The story really begins with millionaire and father Russell Pickett's disappearance and a $100,000 cash reward to his finder. Tempted by the cash, Asa and her best friend Daisy start looking for Pickett, and conveniently, Asa used to go to camp with Davis, who is Pickett's son. So this story is about, will they be able to find the missing millionaire, and also about Asa's struggles with her OCD and just her life in general. So I actually really enjoyed this book. I enjoyed it a lot more than I was expecting to, and I think one of the things that I especially loved was the expression of like raw emotion in the story. I could really feel what Asa was feeling and thinking throughout the story, and I could also understand her OCD, or I could understand how her OCD affected her life. And John Green also struggles with OCD, so I feel like this really helps the reader understand how OCD is like affects not only Asa but also many other people in real life and fictional throughout their lives. And I also like that there were many different aspects of life throughout the book. There was friendship, romance, loss, school, parents, and so we could see how OCD affects each of those aspects in turn. I feel like this book was more of a source on like OCD than anything else. This book not only deals with OCD, but it also deals with a lot of like just regular teenage like insecurities and teenage problems. And so I think that even if you don't have OCD, you could relate to a lot of different aspects in this book, because Asa is a 16-year-old girl who kind of has the same problems as many other like teenagers. So it was relatable, and like I could feel and relate to it on that like level as well. One thing that I did not like that much was the missing person plot. Reading the first couple of chapters of this book, it made me think that the missing person thing was going to be a big part of the story, and the story was going to be very mystery based, like solving clues and all that stuff. But that part of the plot turned out to be very underwhelming for me personally, and I wish that the author either put more mystery into it or just kind of like cut out the mystery like entirely. I feel like there was just this weird like middle amount where it like didn't really affect the story that much, and I wish that there was more, because I'm a fan of mystery books. Another major kind of like problem, like thing that I didn't like with the book was the dialogue, and I think a lot of other people think this too. The dialogue in this book was just so unrealistic. The dialogue in real life and during texting, no teenager is as philosophical all the time as Asa and Davis were. Although I did enjoy some of the philosophical conversations, I felt like they brought up some good points. I feel like if what the book is going for is realism, it was not very realistic to real life. So one thing that I did like about the book was the use of technology, because I feel like the use of technology in this book is realistic to real life. Because I see a lot of different YA or like contemporary books where the characters are like teenagers and they never call or text, and I feel like that's just not realistic to real life. In this book, there was like a good amount of like texting, and I feel like it reflected real life. On the other hand of that spectrum, there are some books where like half of the entire book is texting, and it's just kind of like the way they text is, it gets boring, it's kind of like cringy, and they always use abbreviations like the CU8 or like the like IDK, OMG, TTYL. I won't lie, like a lot of abbreviations are used during texting, but it's like they say their entire conversation in texting and emojis, and like that's just not how people text. But what my point is that the use of technology in this book is good. So the next thing I want to talk about was that I loved Asa, the main character. I really liked how her character was portrayed, and I feel like she had a lot of depth to her character, while some of the other characters are kind of more flat and like they weren't as layered as Aza. And sometimes, like, I do wish that these other characters were a little bit more complex, especially Daisy. I feel like she had a lot of potential. But I also, in a different way, understand why the author made it so that these characters are more flat, because it points a spotlight on Aza and really makes this book about her life and her OCD, and makes it the reader doesn't get distracted by the other characters' storylines. Even though personally, like, I think seeing the other characters' storylines would be pretty fun. I understand why that like choice was made. So the next thing that I want to talk about was John Green's style of writing. I really liked it, actually. I don't know, just the way that he describes scenes, the way that he describes things, the way that he writes is very intriguing, and I feel like I'm never bored in the book, even during like points in the story where not really anything is happening plot-wise. The writing style makes me want to keep reading. Like, I read this book in like 2 or 3 days, and one night I just like read like half of the entire book because I just like couldn't stop reading it. And this is actually one of the reasons I want to read more John Green, because I'm hoping that his writing style is similar with his other books too, because I feel like it's, even when there are like things, parts that I didn't really like, the writing style kept me interested. And the last thing I want to talk about was the ending of the book. The ending of the missing persons case I felt like was a little bit rushed, and I felt like was a little bit, like I said earlier, underwhelming to me. I wish that there was more of solving up to that point. But besides that, the ending of the actual like story itself, personally, I really liked. I feel like, although it wasn't like satisfying to say, I feel like that's the right ending. Like, it should have ended that way. And it's just, it feels right and realistic for the characters for it to have ended that way. So overall, I did like this book. I would rate it 4 out of 5 stars. And I would recommend it to people who are looking for YA, any kind of YA book. This is for you. Anyone who's interested in learning about OCD, or who has OCD and wants a book that you might relate to. Not everyone with OCD is going to relate to this book, obviously. Like, there's different ways to interpret it and like feel it, but it's just one interpretation. Yeah. So that would be the end of this book review. If you like this video, then like this video and subscribe for more content like this. Thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed, and happy reading. Thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed, and happy reading. Oh, oops.